We are back in business. So we're going to start with a game week 5 review. Ended up with 94 points, which was actually a pretty good score. However, a lot of the teams at the top of the leaderboard also did really well this week. So ended up dropping from 119 down to 157. So a little bit disappointing. Things actually started out really well for me. I had Evander and I had Yeboah, so 32 points. And I'm thinking this is going to be like a massive week for me. Forsberg does well. Ojeda and Beal were the two other players. So this is my fifth midfielder. And all three of the ones I was considering had monster games. So I'll take the 14 points. Swap the armband from Rusnak over to Mukhtar, which gained me 2 points. Lovitz does well. My keeper hits. I mean, really, the drop in ranking came down to one game. Similar to last week, how I backed Philadelphia and then they lay an egg. This week, I backed Colorado for the first time, and they do absolutely nothing. In fact, they get destroyed by one of the worst teams in the league. Very disappointing because both the general consensus and the betting odds had this as a pretty big margin for Colorado here, and it just did not work out for me. So, drop to 157, still in the top 200. I will definitely take that as my first year playing. I'm still learning a little bit. I feel like my lesson for this week is don't put two eggs in one basket if we don't trust the basket, but that's okay. All right, let's go on to game week 6. I'm just going to show my lineup that I've got right now, and then I'll talk about some of the players I might swap out. I have looked at the clean sheet odds, I've looked at some power rankings, but I haven't really looked to see what other people are recommending. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, there are some difficulties. Like if you just fill out your lineup with the players you want, you're going to run into a challenge, and that is deciding who goes on the bench because all the matchups you want are happening at 7:30 and 8:30, maybe some 10:30 games. So it's a little bit tricky to figure out which players are actually gonna give you an advantage by playing early. I ended up going with the three road teams from the early games, and I'm not like crazy about these picks. In fact, these would not be on my lineup except for the timing. So that might be something I actually need to reconsider. But for the time being, let's start in keeper. Daniel, like, we don't want this. Okay. The only reason he's in the lineup is because he's got the late game on Saturday. Now, we're hoping that Ustari just hits for Miami. Miami has, I think, second or third best clean sheet odds this week, or at least in the top five. But none of the clean sheet odds are good this week. So we're not really going to expect him to hit. And that goes for all of our defenders. So if he doesn't, the goal really is to scrub someone and upgrade Daniel to, I think the play is to try to upgrade or just start out with the St. Louis keeper. I know they just had a bad week, but they've been really good defensively. And Austin is not an offensive powerhouse. Like this could easily be a 0-0 game. So that's the goal, is to upgrade to the St. Louis keeper. But he costs, I think, it's either 7 or 8. He costs 8.1. So I'm not sure if that's going to be an option. There's several other keepers I'm going to look at. Like the ones I actually would recommend would be Dallas. Now we know Dallas is not the best team, but they do have decent clean sheet odds. When I say decent, it's like 32% or something. But Kansas City has been pretty woeful in their attack. So at 5.7, we've got good value there. And then I think a popular keeper this week is going to be Brad Guzan for Atlanta. Atlanta's been playing well. New York City is not a great offensive team. And he's only 6.2. So I would much prefer to have him in the lineup. But again, the problem is when these teams are playing. Atlanta's at 7:30, Miami's at 7:30. And they've got similar clean sheet odds, so why not go with the cheaper option? Okay, let's go on to defense. I've got Duggan from Minnesota, and I think he's locked in. Minnesota has the best clean sheet odds this week. Again, they're not great, but he's been solid for them, minus the own goal. For 5.9, he's one of the best values this week. Okay, Rogers for 5.6. I was looking at several of the Chicago defenders, and the one you actually want is not in the game yet, the right fullback. So there's a couple options. None of them are that expensive. And it's not that we're backing Chicago's defense, because we're not, but we are banking on Montreal's offense not suddenly figuring out how to score goals. So I do like Rodgers this week. Okay. Edwards for Atlanta. He's not a great fantasy asset. He's not getting bonus points. He's getting yellow cards. I think the Atlanta defender you actually want is Brooks Lennon, so that would be a potential upgrade. But Atlanta's got the good matchup against NYC. Again, it's not great clean sheet odds, but because none of the matches are, I don't want to spend a lot of money. So 4.4 just ends up being a value play. Okay, let's go down here. So the two that I'm hoping hit, and I would scrub Edwards first, and probably Rogers second. Ahmed for Vancouver. They've got the early matchup. 7 million. It's not the worst value ever, even with the away game. Vancouver statistically has the number one defense. Now, being on the road, that does change things. So it's not like we're expecting a clean sheet, but Ahmed's playing out of position. He's playing as a winger. Now, we do have to see if he's in the starting lineup because he did play 2 games over the international break. So it's possible he'll be rested. But if he's in the lineup, I do think I'm going to have him because if he does hit with the early game, it'll make my life a little bit easier. And then Edwards for Red Bulls. Red Bulls does have good defense, and New England does have a pretty poor attack. This is one that conceivably you could see it being a 0-0 or a 1-0 win for Red Bulls. Edwards, he's playing as a wingback. I watched some of the game last week. I thought he was decently involved. I was a little surprised he didn't get any bonus points. He did draw a penalty kick, and for some reason gets no credit for that. So he's got a chance for an assist. He's got a chance for key passes, even though his bonus points have been almost non-existent this year. But 5.1, this is just another value play. All right, onto midfield. I feel like the midfield was a little bit easier to pick this week. I am assuming people are going Rusnak, even being on the road. San Jose is sort of fizzling. Their offense is still pretty good, but defensively, they are just not there. And Rusnak has proven, even without the goals and assists, he's going to get you 6, 7 points, or 8 or 9 points. So I do think he'll be popular and should be a price riser too. Dryer, I've got the armband on him this week. He's another one. He's either scoring, assisting, or getting you tons of bonus points. He's been insanely consistent. I think he's going to be in almost everyone's lineup. Okay, DaCosta, he's got the last game of the week, so potentially he does get scrubbed. Although I think I'd rather scrub one of the forwards. But regardless, Portland, okay, this might be a trap game because they're coming off the 3-0 win. I think people are thinking maybe Portland's okay, but maybe they're actually not. And Houston has not been terrible defensively. So I'm not 100% on DaCosta, but I do think he is a good pick this week. Mukhtar, I am 100% on. Cincinnati, I've not been impressed with. I would expect Nashville to win this game, and I would expect shots, key passes, etc. from Mukhtar. So I like the pick. And then my last one is Pep Beal. This is one, he's not actually in my top five if I was choosing, regardless of when these games were played. Segovia was another person I was looking at. Bamba for Chicago, Forsberg for Red Bulls, Espinoza for San Jose. Those are some other players I'm looking at. I do like Beal over Segovia. Segovia just has the minutes risk. I just don't know he's going to play more than like 60, 70 minutes, which means you're just less likely to get bonus points, let alone goals and assists. Whereas Beal should be locked in to play the full game. Colorado, not a fan of right now, whereas Charlotte, he had an awesome game last week, so they're on the rise. And I think Beal has gotten a goal or assist in almost every game this year. He's proven to be a really good player, and he's only 8.3. Let's go into the forwards. I said last week that maybe Kuipers is just that good, and we don't worry about the matchup, and he does score a goal. He's going to be in everyone's lineup for sure. I do wonder if some people will captain him. Chicago, it's not that they're an awesome team, although I do think they're probably still a little underrated. They're going against one of the worst teams in the league. They're playing at home. This is definitely a no-brainer. Yeboah scores the 2 goals last week, playing at home against Salt Lake. Salt Lake's not been very good. I would expect a good game from Yeboah. Hopefully gets another goal. If not, he should be putting up enough shots and potentially some key passes to score, minimum maybe like a 4. And then Latte Lath, I think he is phenomenal. He's had a lot of goals. He's had some goals called back as well. New York City's a good defensive team, but Atlanta is just clicking right now. I do expect a good game from them. It might not be a game where they score 3, 4 goals, but if they do score, I feel like Latte Lath will be on the end of it. Other forwards I'm thinking about this week, Benteke for DC. I just don't like the matchup. And even though he got the 5 or 6 points last week with the assist, I mean, if you follow that game, DC was just doing nothing offensively until like the very end. So I don't think he is fixture proof entirely. And then Suarez is probably the guy I'm actually looking the most at. He's, I think, 10.1. Potentially, Yeboah goes up to Suarez. I will look at the goal scoring odds a little bit, but as it stands, Yeboah has been so good. I don't know if that's an upgrade I really need to make. I don't even know if it is an upgrade. All right, so that's what we're going with. I've had 2 down arrows in a row, so we're hoping to turn it around this week. See how it goes, though.